Border Barrels here again for another week, and we're starting off with beer.
Beercast number 4.
Beercast number 4. So, you guys asked for it. We're getting around it. So, Beercast number 4. And I suppose we asked the almost birthday boy, Hutto, what have you got over that way?
Well, I've just finished a Blackman's beer that I purchased at the Good Shed, about 50 minutes ago. The Simcoe Cryo Pale. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm still unsure what the cryo hop situation is. Is it like cryovac, or is that the word? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. And is it?
It's
yeah. You go.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just no. It's actually written on here. I've asked that, and then I didn't even read the can. But it actually says cryo hops have been cryogenically processed to separate the lupulin, the stuff hop heads love, from the flower. So this is an American pale ale that makes you feel like you are waltzing through a pine forest.
Very good.
And are you? You sound like you could be walking through a forest.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm walking through a forest where the reception's terrible.
Yeah, fair enough.
You just sound like you're talking a lot more slowly. Like I thought maybe you had a real dank sort of beer or something, but the one you've got sounds delicious.
I'm talking real slow because it's a Sunday night and I've had a big weekend, big day actually.
True, yeah.
Over at the Good Shed, I was being pumped full of Black Ops beer and Boat Rocker beer actually. So. Both delicious, mind you. What were we drinking, Simon?
Boat Rocker green something.
Green Machine, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Was that the dank one?
It was it was green. It was, as it mentioned, Green Machine. It was very green. It was very grassy, very earthy.
Yep.
And then the Black Hops was like a galactic something or other, which was pretty funny because Galactic Symphony, it was called. It was a hazy IPA at 7%, which was that was my choice for the afternoon. Simon went deep into the Boat Rocker Green Machine, but it was funny because we spent most of the afternoon talking about Beastie Boys, didn't we, Simon? So we had the Galactic Symphony, and we were talking all about Beastie Boys Intergalactic.
Like, that's got to be top 10 songs of all time.
Oh.
But, underrated. So I know I talk about underrated stuff a lot on these podcasts, but that won't come up on lists of the top songs of all time, but it bloody should.
Well, I think any Beastie Boys should, in terms of, top 10 underrated, like Intergalactic, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, all those. What's the one that you were talking about, the most famous one?
Sabotage.
Sabotage. Goodness gracious, that's good. But yeah, it was a enjoyable afternoon sipping those beers. But yeah, I've had the Simcoe Cryo, and I'm about to crack a Fog and the Tamar Hazy Pale Ale by Miners Gold Brewery, which I've never heard of before. So that could be cool.
Where are they from?
Beaconsfield in Tasmania.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll after you guys have your let us know about your beers, I will crack it open and see how we go.
No, that's good. And the cryo hop thing, is that are they cryogenically frozen? So it was a hop that was born in the 1970s is now brought into the 2022s or what? And
what a concept.
I don't know. Is it like Oh, here you go. I've just Googled it very quickly, and it says hops. Typically, they arrive at breweries in whole cone format or packaged, as they're called, as T90 pellets.
Oh.
Is that
Terminator?
Oh. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Hold on, that's copyright issues.
Oh, yes.
No, we're just
So it stays as that. It stands for type 90, indicating that the hop pellet is made up of 90% green matter by weight, with the other 10% coming from lupulin. And as I mentioned before, lupulin is what we love to see in beer, apparently.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So if I'm to put that in context of hops, so you've got wet hopped, you've got dry hopped and cryo hopped. It's like, I'm just thinking about this. This is my own deducing. So would cryo hopped be, yeah, that's right. Would cryo hopped be drier than double dry hopped perhaps? Like, is it just a drier sort of situation, or am I?
Well, no, I don't think dry and wet hop actually mean that what the hop is before the brewing process. I think dry and wet hop is when the hops are added to the beer, yes, or the wort.
Yeah, so wet hopped is so if you add it before, I know you add it during the brew or something, and dry hopped is after. Again, we'll have to do some bloody research.
Again, I don't know the specifics, but I think cryo hop is like what they do to the hop completely before the brewing process. So it's like
nothing to do with it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
You've done it again. You've said something that sounds right. And if we fact check it, even if it's wrong, I don't think you're wrong, Simon. Even if technically you were wrong.
What we need to do at the end of the year is basically package up all the things that could be right but are actually wrong, and just send that out to people and say, hey, pick the lie. And then it turns out all of it is.
Just say, look, this is our truth.
Yeah, we're living our truth.
But I just wanted to quickly mention, so T90 referring, like I said, so 90% green matter. There are other hops that are like T45, for example, which is 45% green matter and 55% lupulin, for example.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
sorry, I'm a bit the same.
You too, the good shed. I was just parenting at home. My son's got a lot to answer for. I could have been on the same forest as you guys currently.
Righto. Well, what have you got, bloke?
Well, we had try and keep a long story short. We had a footy function last night, which was the first time in a long time. I had just a bit of a night out, and thankfully people understood the current trends, and it was mostly seltzers getting around. So you can drink those pretty comfortably, but had more. I usually would enjoy, 2 or 3 or 4 absolute max beers in a day, but here we were just pounding these seltzer cans. So I actually felt a bit rough this morning for the first time. So hadn't had a beer all day, but coming to do this pod, I was looking forward to having something. But the other day went into East Albury IGA, and they've got a few nice new things there. One of them being from Mitta Mitta, so about an hour away from here, their Indian Pale Lager, which is interesting because we spoke about this on the first pod and the second, I believe, in regards to cold IPAs versus IPLs, and basically is a cold IPA just an IPL. The cool thing about this now, in the past, we've made mention of how Mitta looks like they've just like slapped on a label on a beer and gone, just drink this. But as I showed Simo when I got here, really cool new can art. So rather than just the big bottles, now they're actually going in 440ml can, Hudson.
It looks great.
Goodness gracious.
With this big special artwork. So, they're stepping up, which is great. We love to see that.
Well, the cans are all the rage at the moment. Sorry to cut you off, but I've just Googled it, and the can art looks bloody beautiful.
Oh, it does.
And I was just wanting to quickly mention, when I was at Good Shed, I bought a Bruny Island beer, as Simo, Zach, and myself would know, all in big bottles, can. Actually,
is it the same
which is
art?
Interesting.
They've always got the same art, just with a different
exactly
title.
The same art.
Okay,
exactly the same art. Just like a nice little 330ml can.
Well,
interestingly enough. So,
well,
yeah,
I don't know. The can's definitely got an advantage. Like, it looks great, but I think as well, like from my, I was in Boston and went to Harpoon Brewery, and they were talking about bottle versus can, and I think the can is a way more stable way to store beer because of the light situation. So even if it is
the aluminum,
well, there you go. So like, even if you have a brown bottle, like, you've still got there's elements there like, you know, if a bright sunny day or something, you leave the palate outside, UV, all that sort of stuff, it can still alter it. But if you've got a bloody black can or whatever else, if you've got in a can, the light is not a factor. So they were sort of talking about how they had all their beers in cans for that reason. So, but I think it is trend as well. Absolutely, but it looks great,
and the art comes with it as well. But yeah, basically because of the big night and feeling a little bit sick and sorry for myself, I just needed something that was a bit crisp, nothing too over the top. So an Indian Pale Lager sounded just about right, and the little blurb here on the can actually explains how I'm feeling about it. A crisp, hoppy beer fermented with a lager yeast. So there we go. We have been talking about that also.
So it is.
Yep.
Nice.
This IPL has generous additions of resinous and floral hop characters to balance out a restrained bitterness, leaving an enjoyable, lingering flavour between sips. And it's just like a really nice, crisp. I think as we also mentioned with the... it was the Black Hops Cold IPA we had the other week. With this sort of style, you have a sip, and unlike a lot of IPAs where you have that hop flavour lingering for a little while and you can sort of sit it down for a bit, this just is like so crisp and just got that nice sort of beer flavour and it's sort of light. And then once you have a sip, you're like, oh, God, I want another sip straight away. So you could probably polish this off quicker than you need to. 440ml can, 5.5%, so it's 1.9 standard, so it won't kill you, but you don't want to be drinking it too quickly. But thanks to the guys at Mitta and East Albury IGA, we are hoping to get to Mitta one day because it is not, as mentioned, not too far. It's a nice little spot out there. You just feel like you're sort of sitting in a shed and got all the hops out the back, and it's a really nice afternoon. So we'll hopefully see those guys soon. Simon, what do you have?
Yeah, good stuff. So I have... It's a collab between Revel and Big Shed Brewing. The Neo Mexicanas Black IPA.
You went straight into it, Si.
Well, listen, I copped a recommendation. Like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's real good. And I went, yeah, I'll take it. From Ryan at the Good Shed. He was like, yeah, this is bloody Toyota top bloody shelf gear, this. But I don't...
As a nice little, just as a caveat to any beer sellers out there, you don't have to do much to sell us a beer, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So having a look at it, the tasting notes, what do we got? Tropical fruit, coconut, tobacco, and...
That's interesting.
What?
And purple.
Tobacco?
No, so...
Purple?
Yep, so providing unique flavours in the beer, including tropical tropical fruit.
Tropical fruit.
Tropical fruit,
tropical
coconut,
flute?
Tobacco, and purple. So
what's that?
I love me a bloody... I love me a purple dart.
Oh, God.
I just want to know, but I want to know, what was it? Was it Dave Chappelle that did the stand-up about purple? What's the fucking, like, the fruit powder that everyone puts in their drink? Kool-Aid? Purple. Kool-Aid. It's like sugar and purple.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so...
That's Dave Chappelle.
The triangle represents...
It's got purple.
Yeah, it's got purple. The triangle represents our synthesia of bringing the flavors of these three hops together, and then they didn't name them. But I believe they are.
Oh.
But
yeah, they did. It was tobacco, purple, and coconut.
Zappa, Sabro, and Talus. That, like, sorry, Revel and Big Shed, you need to sack whoever does the blurb, because honestly, that's horrible. But having a taste of it, because I felt like a stout. It was like, recommend me a stout. I got a black IPA.
But that's not a style you drink very often, so I'm interested.
No.
Tell you what, I just had a bit of a sniff while you were talking, and it passes the smell test. It smells very nice.
Yeah, no, it's quite nice. It is a black IPA, so it does have the stout features of the sort of, it has a smokiness. It's not quite tobacco, unless that's what they put it in there. But it's quite smoky, but it also has that IPA aftertaste. It doesn't have that
We're gonna
sort of situation. But it's
we're
quite
gonna
good.
get to the pod. We're gonna get to the pod next week and show up at Simo's place, and all of a sudden it'll look like a bloody 90s bloody Eastern European house, and it'll just smell like smoke, and he'll be sitting there in his undies smoking cigarettes on the couch.
Drinking another one of these cans.
Yeah, like the tobacco from the beer, and he's like, oh, I can't really taste the tobacco, and then all of a sudden he's addicted.
And he's listening to Purple Rain.
Yeah. I couldn't really taste a bit like. I couldn't really taste, but now I'm hooked on darts.
I can't really taste the tobacco in this beer, but the Marlboro Reds I'm currently smoking. I can get that.
Yeah, like I'm just taking I'm taking the tobacco out of the rolly fucking thing. I'm just eating it. I'm not even smoking it. But
In your review on Untapped, can you just say like a nice balanced mix of Barney the dinosaur and cigarettes?
Well, I feel like writing back and saying, "Oi, bro, no tobacco." Like you're wrong. You're cooked. Maybe you had a cigarette before.
Remove the tobacco and also remove the purple.
Yeah. What is purple?
Maybe we just don't get it. Maybe we're just not get it. Maybe like the joke's going over our head.
Yeah,
so it's more nuanced than we can understand. Which I'd like that.
Chocolate rain. Yeah, anyway, it's not.
I reckon the purple is a reference to Dave Chappelle. It's got to be the grape drink.
Yeah, it might be, but I think it would be better. Anyway, it was fine.
I think, Hutto, you and I might appreciate that beer more than Syme. We're maybe slightly bigger fans of the style, but for you to even think it's fine is actually a bit of a step up for you.
Look, as far as black IPA, I reckon either be a stout or don't.
Well, you had that Bridge Road one,
it's funny you say that, Syme. I feel bad because we're at Good Shed and you were like, I really want to buy a stout. And I went to the fridge and I saw one can sitting there. I was like, I know those breweries. That looks pretty good. And then it was a black IPA. And Ryan from Good Shed, who is fantastic with his beer recommendations,
He's good.
Came over and said, delicious, get it. Buy it. And Simo, being Simo and being like the three of us, went, oh, well, you've sold it. I'm buying this.
It was fine.
And I feel bad now because I wish I had have picked another stout. But I think they're still warming up to winter because there was only a couple of stouts on the shelf. I think give it another week or two and you might be looking at a big winter beverage feast.
I think I'm blowing up more about the can blurb. If they had nothing there, I'd be like, this is a pretty decent beer. It tastes all right. But the fact that it says tobacco and also tastes like purple, I'm not sure about it. But
I think it makes it better.
I think it's a fine beer. And as far as the black IPA, it has those sort of stout notes with the smokiness, and it is dark and it's not quite coffee. It's still an IPA. I reckon it's pretty good, but I'm more offended at the blurb, to be honest. So, I think it's a good beer.
How dare you?
Come on. Righto. Anything else? Anything else?
No, we've got a couple of weeks to go, counting down to the beer festival, so that's exciting. So, yeah, it might start pre-drinking Start pre-drinking next Sunday on the Beercast number 5.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we, as mentioned, we went to the Good Shed and we were talking about Gabs, and it's getting me even more excited. I'm very keen to try some new beers. They had some, as we mentioned, the list looked bloody brilliant. So, yeah, I'm keen to get some of them in my guts and just review those, actually.
In me guts.
Yeah, get that beer in your guts. But, yeah, no, we are pretty keen. If there's any breweries you want to try you want us to try out that we haven't heard of, we're pretty keen for the old mountain culture, the old deeds, the old bloody, what else? Grassy, what are you keen for?
Oh, the one, I think as we said last week, we want to be surprised.
Yeah, we do.
Looking forward to something new. And as Hutto just said, he had a beer from a brewery today that he hadn't heard of before. I'd love for someone to really surprise us in a couple of weeks and take the mantle of favourite beer for the festival, but time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. But we're pretty excited, but we might leave it there for now. So, Beercast out, and we'll
see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Catch you later. See you, Hutto. You do.
Keep drinking beer responsibly.